You have probably walked past an anthill without thinking twice. But under that tiny pile of dirt is a living underground city with tunnels, nurseries, soldiers, farms, wars, raids, and even parasites that can turn ants into zombies. The terrifying part is not that ants are monsters, it is that their world is far more organized than we want to admit. Look at the anthill again, not the mound, but what the mound actually is. That little pile of dirt is not the city. It is the exhaust vent, the chimney, the part that sticks out above the surface while everything that matters happens somewhere below your feet.
Finn's hand hovers just above it. The animation cuts downward, and the real structure begins to reveal itself.
The first thing you notice is the tunnels. They branch almost immediately, splitting off in different directions like the corridors of a building someone spent a long time designing. And here is the part that should stop you cold. That design is not an accident. Researchers at UC San Diego studied the underground architecture of harvester ant nests and found something remarkable. The more connected the chambers are near the surface entrance, the faster the entire colony can respond to a food source. It is not about the size of the chambers. It is not about how many ants can fit inside. It is purely about how the rooms are linked together. More corridors between chambers means information travels faster. The colony built an optimized communication network out of dirt long before any human architect drew a blueprint. One of the researchers put it plainly. More corridors connecting rooms means easier movement, faster interactions, and quicker response in an emergency. Ants figured that out millions of years before we did. Go deeper and the chambers begin to specialize. There is a nursery, larvae kept at precise depths so the surrounding soil holds the right temperature. There is a food storage room packed with seeds and insect parts. There is a waste chamber kept deliberately far from the living areas, and at the protected core, surrounded by everything else, is the queen's chamber. A single colony can hold hundreds of thousands of individuals. Every one of them has a role. Worker ants, all female, none of them reproducing, forage, build, nurse larvae, and defend the nest. Some of them can carry 50 times their own body weight. Think about what that means scaled to a human frame. It would be like picking up a small car and walking it across a field. The queen lays thousands of eggs. In some species, there is not just one queen. There can be thousands, all laying, all feeding the colony's growth. Male ants, called drones, exist for a single purpose: mating. After that, they die. The colony does not mourn them. It does not pause. It simply continues. Now go deeper still, because the architecture is only half of what makes this place function. There are no words spoken in this city. No signals tapped on tunnel walls. No sounds at all, really. Ants communicate entirely through pheromones, chemicals secreted from their bodies that carry precise meaning. One ant finds a food source. It does not run back to the nest and wave its legs around. It lays a chemical trail on the ground as it walks. Other ants follow that trail, and as they do, they reinforce it, adding their own chemical signal until a living highway of invisible information connects the food to the colony. The trail gets stronger the better the food source is. It fades when the food runs out. The system self-corrects without anyone giving an order. A danger signal is different. A different chemical released fast, and within seconds, soldiers are moving. The colony also passes knowledge between generations, a kind of chemical memory that lets workers identify a hostile ant the moment it enters the wrong tunnel. They have never met that intruder before. They do not need to. It smells wrong, and that is enough. This is what the colony actually is, not a pile of insects sharing space, but a single organism running on chemistry, architecture, and a social order so rigid it has held together for millions of years. But a city this organized does not stay peaceful. Go deeper and you find the wars. That chemical trail system, where the path gets stronger the better the food source, is one of the most elegant things in nature. Would you trust a system like that? Or does a city with no leader in charge make you uneasy? Drop your answer in the comments below, because the ants are about to show you what happens when that system gets pushed into war. That last chemical signal, the one that sends soldiers moving in seconds, is where the civilization stops feeling organized and starts feeling dangerous. An intruder crosses into the wrong tunnel. The chemical memory the colony has built up over generations fires instantly. Workers do not hesitate, do not investigate. The smell is wrong and the response is automatic. Soldiers flood the corridor. But that is defense. What ants do on offense is something else entirely. Army ants do not have a permanent home. They do not build the kind of underground city you have been watching Finn explore. They move. The entire colony, sometimes hundreds of thousands of individuals, travels as a living flood across the forest floor. Their mandibles are large, their stings are painful, and they do not limit themselves to other insects. Army ants have been documented preying on reptiles, birds, and small mammals. Anything that cannot get out of the way in time becomes part of the harvest.
Visual cue. Finn watches from above as a dark, shifting wave moves across the forest floor. It does not look like insects. It looks like the ground itself is moving.
And then there is the Amazon species Alomeris decimaticulatus, which does not flood its prey. It builds a trap for it. These ants weave a mat of plant fiber across a stem or branch, riddled with small holes. It looks like part of the plant. An insect lands on it, feels solid ground beneath its feet, and takes one more step. Hundreds of ants waiting inside the mat reach up through the hole simultaneously and seize it, legs, body, wings, holding it completely still before it can react. The trap is not a tool they pick up. It is a structure they build together, cooperatively, from nothing, and it works every time. The colony is not just organized, it is tactical. Now go one layer deeper, because some ant species do not just wage war, they take prisoners. Certain ants raid neighboring colonies not to destroy them, but to steal their young. A raiding column moves in the dark, breaks into a rival nest, and carries larvae and pupae back home. When those stolen young hatch, they do exactly what they were born to do. They forage, they build, they care for eggs. They work. They simply do it for a different queen in a different nest with no memory of where they came from. They do not know they were taken. They just work. Visual cue. A raiding column moves through darkness, carrying pale larval shapes. The animation does not dramatize it. It does not need to. And then, at the very bottom of this underground world, there are the farmers. Leafcutter ants cut pieces of plant material and carry them in long columns back into the nest. They are not eating the leaves. They are using them as a growing medium for a fungus they cultivate in dedicated underground chambers. The fungus is the crop. The ants are the farmers. This agricultural system predates human farming by tens of millions of years. The first time anything on this planet deliberately grew its own food, it happened underground, in the dark, run by insects.
Visual cue. Finn's lantern illuminates a deep chamber where a white fungal growth covers the walls like a garden.
But the most unsettling layer is not the walls, and it is not the farms. It is what can happen to a single ant when something else finds it first. There is a fungus called Ophiocordyceps. It infects an individual ant, and it does not kill it immediately. Instead, it changes its behavior. The infected ant leaves the colony, climbs a plant stem to a very specific height, not random, not approximate, but precise, bites down on a leaf vein and locks its jaw. It does not let go. The fungus then grows through the ant's body and releases spores downward onto the colony below. The ant did not choose any of that. Something else was using it. Visual cue. A single ant climbs slowly upward while the colony moves normally below, completely unaware. Pull back now. past the parasite, past the fungus gardens, past the raiding columns at the army ant flood and the cooperative trap, past the nurseries and the food stores and the Queen's Chamber, past the optimized tunnel network, all the way back up through the soil until Finn is standing in a quiet backyard again, looking at a small pile of dirt. It looks exactly the same as it did at the start. There are 20 quadrillion ants on Earth. That is 2.5 million for every human alive. And we know this civilization has been running for at least 99 million years because an ant was found perfectly preserved in amber, frozen mid-hunt, a snapshot of a world that was already ancient before our species existed. Every anthill you have ever walked past contains all of it. The architecture, the chemical language, the wars, the raids, the farms, the parasites. It is not a metaphor for civilization. It is one. It is running right now under your feet, and it has never stopped. Subscribe to Creature Field Notes and watch the next video. It never sleeps.